This morning, the international governing body over track and field announcing a ban that prevents transgender athletes from participating in female events after going through male puberty.
World Athletics has done something that loads of people have been calling for them to do for a very long time. It's banned trans women from being able to compete in female categories. Lord Coe, who's the governing body's president, said no transgender athlete who had gone through male puberty should be allowed in female world ranking competitions.
Transgender athletes will now be banned from competing in female track and field events at an elite level. The move by World Athletics comes months after the International Swimming Authority made a similar ruling.
So World Athletics, which is the international governing body for sports athletics covering track and field, cross-country running, road running, race walking, mountain running, and ultra running, has decided to ban transgender athletes from competing in the female category. Transgender women who have experienced male puberty will not be permitted to compete in female world ranking competitions, the World Athletics announced Thursday. Now, what does this mean? This essentially means they can still compete, but they must compete in the male category. So let me explain. Now, usually you see sports in two different categories, the men's category and the female category, but that's actually an oversimplification of what's really happening. There are two categories. There's the open category in which anyone can participate, and then there's the female-only category for women. Now, an easy example of this is golf. In golf, you have the PGA and the LPGA. For instance, in May 2011, Canadian golfer Isabelle Bassier-Gil became the first female in history to earn a player's card on the men's professional tour. And there's also been other women to participate in the PGA Tour with the men. Now, while women can easily participate in the PGA event because it's open to anyone, only women can participate in the LPGA events. Now that we understand the two categories that athletes are allowed to compete in, let's now understand why these two categories exist. So the first fact that we have to confront is the gender gap in sports and athletics. Now, simply put, the reason why we segregate women's sports from the open competition is because we know that women are at a physical disadvantage based on science and technology.
During male puberty, testosterone drives the development of bigger muscles with more fast-twitching fibers, sturdier bones, and a larger heart and lungs. All lifelong advantages when it comes to speed and strength. The difference between boys' and girls' running times increases in adolescence, and the gap is even bigger for jumping events. And in 2019, among top athletes, around 2,000 men finished the 100 meters more quickly than the fastest woman.
So on average, males have 45% more lean body mass, 33% more lower muscle mass, and 40% more upper body muscle mass. Men naturally have more muscle strength, longer bone lengths, like in your arms and legs, 83% more force in their tendons, and as we briefly mentioned earlier, increased respiratory and lung functions, as well as enhanced cardiac function.
Because to be completely honest, men are on average 5 or 6 inches taller than women. Men way more. We're faster. In terms of upper body strength, we have about 75% more upper body muscle mass and about 90% more upper body strength than women. So we're gonna have competitive advantages against women.
Because of biological differences, which is why males and females typically compete in separate sporting events. Males just naturally have an athletic advantage based on their development. When looking at elite male athletes versus elite female athletes, adolescent schoolboys outperformed elite female adult athletes. So kids who are just going through puberty, boys specifically, can outperform grown women.
This was 2 years ago. The Australian women's national team, who were ranked number 5 in the world at the time, lost 7-0 to a team of 15-year-old boys.
Awkward.
So to put a fine point on this, here's Serena Williams explaining why she won't play Andy Murray, who's a man, and the differences between women's tennis and men's tennis.
Well, actually, it's funny because Andy Murray, he was been joking about myself and him playing a match, and I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because no, it's true. It's true. It's a completely. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
Now, the second fact that we all have to agree to is that puberty is irreversible. It's a process that occurs once, and when someone has gone through puberty, you can't reverse the benefits that person may have gotten. So if you have a male who's gone through male puberty, they have those advantages of bone density, higher lung capacity, higher muscle strength. All of that is irreversible after puberty. So the next question is, can hormone therapy reduce the advantages brought on by male puberty? Now, here's one trans woman who's been taking hormone therapy for over 20 years, and she's going to tell you whether or not the hormone therapy has removed all the advantages that she's received by going through male puberty.
I use myself as an example. This is about how big I was in junior high school and early high school. I used to be able to walk up to a V8 engine block, pick it up off the floor, and set it on a table. And if I was in powerlifting or weightlifting, that amount of, that advantage was just unbelievable. I've been on hormones for 15 years. Did it weaken me? Absolutely. Did my bone density really hasn't changed, my muscular hasn't changed. And this is not a binary question. There's a lot of nuances involved.
What science has shown that going through male puberty, okay, is a huge advantage to go through, okay? Even if 10 years down the line, I went through male puberty. Yeah. I was there, okay? I've been through the whole process. I know I'm bigger, taller. I can still hit the golf ball 280 yards, 290 yards. And I've been off testosterone for 7 years, and yeah.
So let's recap. First, there is a gender gap between men and women when it comes to athletics, and that gap has to do with puberty. Male puberty gives men a distinct advantage over females when it comes to athletics. Number two, puberty is irreversible. So when someone does go through male puberty, then those benefits that they have over women cannot be removed. And third, even those transitioning using hormone therapy may have some reduced benefits from male puberty, but the reduction in those benefits are not enough to equalize the playing field between transgendered women and cis women. So with all these facts we just laid out, the World Athletics decided that transgender track and field athletes can't compete in women's international events because of the overwhelming advantage of going through male puberty. Here's exactly what they said.
The World Athletics Council has today taken the decisive action to protect the female category in our sport, and to do so by restricting the participation of transgender and DSD athletes. The decision was taken in consultation with a number of stakeholders, including 40 member federations, our coaches, our athletes, and through the Athletes Commission, as well as a range of other community groups, including trans groups, UN experts, the International Olympic Committee, and para-athletics. Let me, if I may, start with the transgender athletes. The majority of those consulted stated that transgender athletes should not be competing in the female category. Many believe there is insufficient evidence that trans women do not retain advantage over biological women, and more evidence than any physical advantages have been ameliorated before they are willing to consider an option for inclusion into the female category. Unlike DSD athletes, there are no transgender athletes competing in international competition in athletics, and no observations therefore exist from the front line, in our case, the field of play, across the different disciplines that are specific to our sport, i.e. endurance running, sprints, throws, jumps, and road events. Where the science is insufficient to justify maintaining testosterone suppression for transgender athletes, the Council agreed it must be guided by our overarching principle, which is to protect the female category.
So after this announcement, here are some famous trans athletes responding to the news.
Overnight, Leah telling ABC News this ruling is devastating and only detrimental to women's sports. It only serves to exclude any women who are not deemed woman enough. Trans women are women. Intersex women are women.
So here's conservative Piers Morgan reacting to the news.
Well, hallelujah. How's it taken this long? Athletes born male with their bigger, stronger male bodies and superior muscle mass cannot compete against women fairly. It's just not equal. So that's a victory for common sense.
So, question of the day. Should trans women who've gone through puberty as a male be allowed to compete against women in athletics? Let me know in the comments section. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.